Hey guys, it's Mel. Okay, I'm here at the Lifeline Canberra Book Fair. Now, today is Saturday. I actually came out to the book fair yesterday and spent about 4.5 hours picking books for the store. However, it's really hard for me to film while I'm actually picking. So I know everybody always likes the book fair videos, but honestly, when I come to book fair to get books, I'm here to work, and I'm actively looking for those books to put into my store, and it's very, very hard to try and film and show what I'm doing. But I've come back here specifically this afternoon on the Saturday because I want to take you for a tour around the book fair in case you've never seen anything like this. This is one of the biggest book fairs that we have here in Australia. In fact, I would say it is the biggest of all the Lifeline book fairs. Tom and I do travel around to a lot of book fairs all over Australia, and the Canberra one is definitely the biggest. And well, I'm local, so I'm going to be a little bit biased and say it's the best. But let me take you in. I'll show you how they set it up and how it runs, and I'll give you the full experience. Okay, now Lifeline have a tent outside the hall, so when people get here they are able to redonate books as they're coming in. However, they do have a station that's just a couple of 100 metres down here as well, where they prefer the books to be dropped off. So these are for the people who have maybe only got like half a dozen books in their hand, can drop them here as they're going in. People who have car loads or bag loads, they like them to be dropped just up the road there. And they've got a designated spot. I did take some footage yesterday morning of what the lineup looked like to get into the book fair. Obviously today it's now 2:30 in the afternoon, so it's going to be a little bit quiet here this afternoon. So as soon as you walk in the front door here, they've got an information station that's got maps to the whole book fair. You can come in, find out if you're only looking for shoppers and you're only looking for a designated couple of areas that you want to buy at, you can come and grab a map so you know exactly where to find it. They've also got a food and drink stall to the right as soon as you come in. So they do have a food and drink stall down in the second hall as well. And then this is what it looks like. It's fairly quiet here at the moment because it is Saturday afternoon. The book fair runs for 3 days from Friday to Sunday. Along this back wall, we have a whole lot of vintage sections. We've got non-fiction categories. We've got vintage cookbooks, vintage gardening, vintage arts and performings, vintage histories. This table was fairly full yesterday, so that's been empty quite a lot today. Now you will notice at the end of every single table, they do have buckets. These buckets are so that if you pick books off the tables and then you decide you don't want them, they ask you to put the books down in the buckets, and then they've got volunteers that go around and they continuously empty the buckets and put them onto the correct tables. So over on these tables we've got politics, government and current affairs. Then we've got military history and World War I. Then the next table row over there is World War II. So you can see they're very good at separating it. So if you're looking specifically for World War II, it's designated table. World War I, designated table. They have volunteers that come along all day that are in here and there, condensing all these tables, pushing them all along, neatening them up as you go, restacking them. Down these aisles we've got a lot of general history, we've got ancient history, early European history, British and Irish history, Latin American history. Get a lot of shoppers who bring little small trolleys and stuff because the books do get heavy. Head down here we've got lots of art books, painting, graphic arts, sculpture, theatre, play scripts, playwrights. We've got urban design down the end here. Next up we've got a table, French, German, Spanish, Portuguese and other European languages. So these are all the languages. The next row of tables down here, we've got Chinese, Italian, Japanese, Latin and Greek, non-European languages. So we've got a lot of language books that are not only like dictionaries on how to speak the language, but there's also often a lot of like fiction books that are in another language. All of the books on all of the tables, they're all priced individually. So you have to open up every single book to see how much it's going to be worth. And the books are priced from 50 cents upwards. Some of them are priced quite high. This one here, you can see this one is priced at $10. So you do have to be very mindful when you're choosing books at how much money they are, because some of them are on the higher end. And if you're doing reselling, you need to make sure that you're still able to make a profit on those books. Volunteers will be wearing fluoro vests, and there's normally volunteers at every single row of tables. Stacking and condensing the books to make it and keep it neat, and emptying the books in the buckets at the end of the table. Down along this wall we've got maps, atlases, we've got a lot of road travel books, caravanning books, and it's surprising how popular some of these old maps are. Down this row of tables we've got the Bible books, religious books, prayers. The next row here we've got engineering, chemistry, mathematics. These are a lot of textbooks down these aisles. Now see how these tables here, I've got all the books spread like this. When you come in on the Friday, the tables are full to the brim with books like this. So you can see how empty this table almost is on a Saturday afternoon, when these tables were absolutely jammed full on Friday morning. We've got the Lifeline stall over here where they always sell the tote bags, and again they've got maps there to give help to anybody who's looking for it. Down these rows here, we've got zoology, biology, earth science, we've got the motor manuals and the transport down the end of these tables. Over this side we've got more religious books, more faiths, interfaith, China and Japan, Buddhism, Judaism, spiritual development down the end. These tables here, fashion, beauty, weddings, textile crafts, patchwork, quilting, embroidery and cross stitch, sewing, knitting. Okay, this is the gardening section here. You can see it's absolutely been cleared out here. These were full yesterday, full to the brim. So they're absolutely full. Over here we've got things like books about card games like bridge, poker, puzzles and quizzes, Sudoku. And then you go down here into the sports, cricket, rugby league, motorsports, martial arts, horse racing, running, trivia. Okay, down this aisle we've got natural history, popular science, quite a long section here for natural history. Over this side, nursing and medicine. Again, look, these tables have been absolutely cleared. There's hardly anything left. We've got farming, forestry and fisheries, general popular science, and then over this side again, environment, climate and conservation. Down here we've got sociology, gender, education. These are a lot of teaching resources down here, a lot of teachers' textbooks, psychology, another popular section. See how clear it is? You can tell the sections that are really popular because they've been cleared. So not only did we have some gardening over here, but we also had another table here, gardening, diseases, pests, pruning, propagation, herbs, indoor plants, flowers, natives, design, landscape, do-it-yourself home improvement. You can see that there's a lot of time and effort that goes involved, a lot of sorting prior by volunteers back at their big warehouses to prep for these book fairs to have everything in exactly the right order. Down along these walls, these are never very full, these tables, but there are stamps and coin books down here and craft kits down here. They've been fairly cleared out. These tables here are also looking very empty. Diet, exercise and mental health, dying and aging, household decluttering. This is a lot of the self-help here, personal development and self-help, money matters. Down these aisles we've got business management, economics, law and famous trials, anthropology. So the volunteers have a table here at the end of the road, and this is for when they're sorting books that have been put into those tubs at the end of the books. They can bring it back here. They can put like the right category here against the books, so then when other volunteers come on back, they know exactly what area and what table to take those books to. Got a lot of genealogy down here, family history, people's stories. Down here we've got Australian politics and government books. Still quite full, these tables. We've got Aboriginal Australia here. Sometimes there's some good money in the Aboriginal books. We've got the Canberra region specifically. This is a Canberra book fair. There's a lot of books that are on our Canberra city. We are the capital city of Australia. There's a lot of gardening books specific to Canberra, a lot of like portrait books, a lot of books from our National Gallery. Okay, so we've got travel writing, humour, true crime. There's some miscellaneous reference here. We've got pets, animals, zoo stories, alternative health, alternative new age, biographies down here. There's always a lot of biographies. Supernatural mysteries, witchcraft, fortune telling and astrology. Okay, down this aisle, it's always quite a popular aisle. Australian history, Australian land and people, Australian biographies, Australian local history, Australian literature over here, Australian vintage, a lot of Australiana. Okay, so the majority of the non-fiction is up in this half of the hall. When we go down to the next half of the hall, that's where most of the fiction books are, the CDs, the DVDs. There are some non-fiction books down there, like the cookbooks, and I can't think what else, but they're mixed down there. So there is a few of the larger genres that don't fit up into this half of the hall that go down into the other half. It's a big book fair, guys. It's really, really big. Okay, so down here into the second one, and this is also when you come out. So you come in up one end, you have to walk through the whole book fair to get down to the very end is where you pay. So you basically have to walk through the entire book fair to pay. There's a lot of antique books here on the side. Sometimes they have old calendars and prints here hanging up, poster prints. Got a vintage Australian fiction section over here. Okay, now in the middle of the two halls, they actually have this room. Now you're not allowed in there if you've bought any books from them anywhere else. You'll have to leave them out the front of the hall. But this is basically the collector's hall. So they have their higher price books. They're very rare books. Some of these books, they actually will sell them for quite high prices, and they will actually fetch quite a high price if you are reselling some of them. Okay, so this is where you'll find books like the folio books, automobiles, Asia and the Pacific, Australian art, international art, architecture. Okay, so you can see those books, $20. Let's have a look at this one. $30. Rare and special books here. So there are some gems to find in here, but you will pay more money, obviously, if you're shopping in this area. Now see how there's some boxes under the table? Down in the main halls, probably didn't notice them so much, but on the first day, they've got heaps of boxes under the table. And what they do is throughout the day, they've got excess stock there and they start repacking the tables. But once there's no boxes under the table, that means there's no more inventory there to restock any of those tables. But any of the ones with boxes still have a little bit to restock. Some beautiful folio books here. Folio books. If you're not familiar with Folio Society, it always says Folio Society down here. They come in these beautiful slip cases. Some of them can be worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. If you buy anything from inside that rare room as well, you have to pay for it before you leave. So you go in empty-handed, no books, and you come out. Uh-oh, dropped some. Okay, got the Build-A-Bears here. Look at the girls selling the bears here. How much are the bears, girls?
$26.
$26. Going to Lifeline. I'll come back and get one. Thank you. Okay, here we go as well. Another big map as soon as you walk into the room. Now over on the left here, we always have the children's section. Got an ice cream truck as well here. And on the Friday over here, they actually have the radio station over there who are playing live music. So let's just go down here. I'll show you a bit of the children's books. Got all everything's categorized. We've got the board books, the Disney picture books. Over here, easy reading chapter books.
Oh, these ones are good books.
Other teacher? No?
So again, they make it so easy if you are a shopper to come in here, if you know exactly what you want. That's why they get a lot of collectors lining up first thing in the morning. Some of the collectors get here at 3 a.m. because they know exactly what category they're going to and where they're going to, and they need to be first in there to get those books. So we've got animals, including dinosaurs, sport, human body, arts and crafts. And then we've got more, like it kind of starts off from the smaller children over here, like the small little kids' picture books. It gets more and more, and as we get to the end of the tables, starts getting more into the tweens, like the 8 to 12-year-old fiction, and then even up into the young adult fiction. Okay, now along this back wall and right down to the corner, this is where they've got all the teaching resources. So they've got these areas get really busy because there's a lot of people who do homeschooling. So they come here and they get these for homeschooling. And then, yeah, maths, English, science, whatever you want to know, you've got it. Books at the end. Every single aisle has got the number as well. So if you're looking at the map and you want to go specifically to Olgies, then you know that the Olgies will be on the map on end of 19. So you know exactly where you're going if you've got one of the maps. We'll say on the Friday, this carpet area is absolutely full with parents who are sitting down there. People like to look at what they've bought, so they go over, they grab bag loads of it, then they sit down here and they look thoroughly through what they've got to decide what they're going to put back and what they're going to keep. We've got a whole section there for Harry Potter. We've got fantasy, young adult fiction down there, teen fiction. Over here we've got some faith-based books, children's Bibles, Roald Dahl, Enid Blyton. So some of those more popular authors have their own sections, or books like Harry Potter, they've got their own sections just because they're so large. Then it goes down all the way into the classic fiction. So the children's section is really quite large with 6 rows of books, and on the Friday when you get here it is absolutely jam-packed with a lot of parents, a lot of prams, a lot of kids. It's hard to get through that area because it is a very congested area. Once you go past the kids section, you are moving into the cooking section. We've got 3 tables, 3 rows of cooking books. They do divide it. The middle row has got half an area here that's also full of the magazines. And again, you can see these tables. On the Friday, they're absolutely jam-packed, just like this. All the books are like this. You do not have any space to put books like this on a Friday. So it is very, very empty now compared to what it looks like on a Friday morning. So again, here they'll have international cuisine, go into sweets, cooking for vegetarian, children's cookbooks. Keep going down, there's baking and then just general cooking. And then down the end on this left side soon, you'll see celebrity chefs. They put all the celebrity chefs together. But yeah, it makes it very easy if you're looking for something specific. If you come here and you want to buy, if you're a vegetarian, you don't want to look through all the other cookbooks, you can just come straight down here into the vegetarian section. These are the magazines. Magazines are $2 or as priced. So again, these have been heavily picked through already. Architecture, hobbies, military, visual arts, performing, and then just the additional magazines over there as well. We've got a little bit more on motor cars over there, plus journals and notebooks. If you are a reseller, this is a good example of why you really need to come to the book fairs on the Friday morning. Because once you get here on a Saturday afternoon, half the books are already gone. They've been so heavily picked. So if you're coming here to buy to resell, you need to be here on a Friday morning. You just can't wait until the Saturday and Sunday, because by the Saturday and Sunday, you're kind of just getting the leftovers, you're getting like low-end bread and butter. So you really, really want to make sure that if you ever go to a book fair, the most important day to go is on the very first day, as soon as it opens. And that's why you'll see people here, and they literally get here at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, because they line up for hours and hours to get into these specific tables, these specific areas of exactly where they want to be. They know exactly what they want. And you come in here Friday morning and it's just like a fury of people going hard, which is why it is so hard for me to actually film on a Friday, because that's the day that I'm not only competing against collectors and just general public, but I'm also competing against every other reseller that's out there. Maybe I should say they're all competing against me. Okay, we've got a whole section down here just on drinks, teas, coffees, wines, cocktails. The celebrity chef area is always very popular, but I do tend to find that out of all the cookbooks, these are normally a little bit overpriced. That one's $5. I might grab that one. Okay, here we got some more magazines. Health and parenting, house, home, beautiful, current affairs, gardening, women's. We've also got a whole couple of tables here that are full of like sewing patterns and arts and crafts. And here we've got a whole section, journals, notebooks. This is where you find books that are like baby diaries, you know, where you record your baby's first year and things like this. Old diaries surprisingly can sell quite well. People look for them to go back from memory, maybe from the year their child was born or something like that. So along this wall, we've got tables over here, tables here, and tables here. These are like sets or collections. A lot of them are vintage and a little bit more rare and harder to find. These ones often are quite priced a little bit higher. After the magazines down here, we've got all the vintage literature, poetry, vintage paperbacks down here, a lot of the old Puffin books. Okay, so once we've gone through the kids' books, the cooking books, the magazines, and all the vintage fiction, we then start moving into the regular fiction. So again, it starts off in order. It's going to go to the crime and thrillers, then it'll go down into the spies, and it'll go through into like the adventure, and then it'll go into the women's fiction, and then down the very end, we have the fantasy fiction. So as you can see in the fiction section here, these tables have already been totally emptied, and these were full yesterday, and there was also many boxes underneath. These fiction aren't very good for me as a reseller, however, because I just find these are like the low end books that sell for like $15 or $20 online, including the postage. And to come out here, see how they're priced at $4. Some of them are even priced from $5 and $6. So I just find that there's not enough profit in these ones, in the low end fiction, for me to make as a reseller. But they sell a lot of these here for the regular general public. So over here they've got all the fiction, but these are the small size books. So I really like that they separate. So they have the large fiction over here, they have the small fiction over here, they have the medium fiction as we get more here. So they do such a good job of separating it. So again, this is all crime and thriller, These are the hardbacks here. These ones we're moving into the spy, thriller, a lot of the same authors. See how they put them all together. So, you know, if you're looking for Clive Cussler, you just have to find the Clive Cussler table. You don't have to sift through all the generic. Once it becomes into more generic, then obviously it's all mixed. But the authors that are really popular, they will have them separated. James Patterson, David Baldacci, Lee Child. Moving into the horror section here. And horror small fiction. We've got a table here that's just for large print, a small table of westerns, war and naval, more war and naval. Now we move towards into the historical fiction. So general fiction was over here, historical fiction is over here, all separated again by small, medium and large paperback novels, keeping the hardcover ones separately as well. So if you're looking specifically for the hardcover one, you only have to go to the hardcover section. Right, now we start moving into Australian and New Zealand fiction books. Medium-sized novels, still in the Australian authors and rural romance. Got an erotic fiction section over here and a LGBTIQ fiction. More general fiction down here. Assorted authors. You just got to spend hours and time sorting through these to see if you actually want them. Alexander McCall, always a big area here. That's a mystery series. Down in these areas we start moving into manga, also into some graphic novels and into some comics. Comics for mature readers there are set separately. They've also got a whole lot of cards here, guys. Look.
That rug band off and have a look at it.
Sure, they've all been picked through now, but if you're into cards, great spot to come on the first day if you want to sit there looking through them all. Young adult fiction is over here, sci-fi and fantasy down here. One of my favourite categories, the Mills and Boon. However, the problem with the Mills and Boon here is these books will all be priced between $1 and $2 each. So I always look for my Mills and Boon to be much lower than that when I'm getting them. I normally only will have to pay 10 to 20 cents for a Mills and Boon book, so I leave the ones that are priced around $1 or $2 because I know that I'll always find hauls where I get them much cheaper than that. Paranormal romance coming up. We've got a whole lot of small romance novels here. A lot of them are historical. They're really, really good at keeping them in order of the same author, which is just amazing considering how many people actually go through these constantly all day, every day, that they stay in the actual order by the author. But that's the job of the volunteers. They're all very wonderful at keeping it in order. They also already have some books that have been bulk lotted up. They wrap them up into the shrink wrap. These are all sets or trilogies that they do. They keep them together and then sell them as a lot, so you're not looking through all the thousands of books to find the 3 separate books to make the trilogy. They've done the hard work for you. They have those bulked up. They also have some over here with the Mills and Boons. They like to pack some of them up. These sci-fi tables are very empty compared to yesterday. Obviously all the books are laying flat with gaps in them, so it's a popular, sci-fi is always one of the most popular genres. Boxes of comics at $2 each. More fantasy and sci-fi, fantasy being one of the most popular fiction genres. And then down along here we've got all the very large, heavy, very large and very heavy coffee table books. Right, I'll just show you how it works when you pay, when you check out. Right at the end now, the line for this line, just so you know, normally like on the Friday, they're taking the payments down there. This line will be filled, it will be snaked, and it'll be right down the very end to the kids' books. Now with the coffee table books, they keep them here closest to the pay area, and the reason for that is they are very large and they're very heavy, so you wouldn't want the coffee table book area to be the first thing when you first come in, because that's only going to want to make people leave if they're carrying around these really, really heavy books. And most people don't have trolleys like me, or there is a lot of people that do have trolleys or some kind of cart or mechanism to help wheel their books around, but there are a lot of people that just come in simply with like a couple of shopping bags, and so you definitely don't want to be carrying around a couple of heavy shopping bags full of all these big, large, hardcover coffee table books. That will just deter people and want them to leave. So there's a very smart shopping move on behalf of Lifeline to put the coffee table books right at the very end. And also they're the nice books that you kind of like browse as people are in the line, especially when the line is long. They can be browsing like lined up along the tables that are coffee table books, and then they might just grab one at the end and add to their piles. This is the storage and tally area for the bulk buyers. So this is where I come, guys. What they basically do is they have tables lined up in here. You can come here early in the morning, reserve a table for yourself. I always have my bags. I have like a sheet, a table minded with my name on it, and then I can keep doing trolley loads back and forth, filling up my tables as high as they go. I can fill up underneath the table as well, and always bring a sheet to make sure my books are covered from everybody from looking at, and then they tally them all up here, and so the bulk buyers can go out this way. That's so funny. He just said I left my sheet here yesterday when I wheeled all my bags out, so I've just picked up my sheet as I've gone. Right, now, next to the bulk tally area, we have the board game puzzle area. So 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of board games. This is always a very, very busy area. Board games and jigsaw puzzles, always very busy on a Friday. We next move into the media. So down here, CDs, DVDs. Again, see the boxes underneath? Those ones have been emptied because they're on the side like that. We've also got some vinyl records along here on these tables. Here's a cafe if you want to stop, get something hot chips, meat pie. With the vinyl here, there you go, $4. 45 RPM records for $1. You can see they've got it here, rock, classical, pop, folk world, everything's categorised. So the CDs that are left. Down here we move into music books, dance books, sheet music. We've got a whole row here of sheet music. Music biographies, Jimmy Barnes, Peter Garrett, Rolling Stones. And then over here, this is like what was up in the other area where it's like the bring back section. So the volunteers are bringing back all the books that have just been left around that people don't want anymore or that are in those tubs. They keep bringing them back to these tables, sorting them into the categories so that the other volunteers can then go back and put them away. On a Friday, some of the kids from the local schools come out here, the older kids in years 10, 11 or 12, they come out here as volunteers, and the kids are like helping putting the books back onto the shelf. Sorry. So as you can see, this is a large scale operation, and they do these book fairs twice a year, February and September. And then they do have a smaller one that they run in a different location mid-year in about July. It's maybe about a third of the size of this one. But this is a very large one, and you can see by the level of organisation how much work it takes just to get this ready for 2 book fairs a year. Hi! So this is the last aisle where everyone comes and takes your money. Shout out to all the Lifeline volunteers, because this is a full-scale event that takes months and months to get ready. So Lifeline Australia supports suicide awareness. They take thousands of phone calls just locally here in Canberra every single week, walking people through and with mental health problems. So fantastic charity, and they put so much work and effort into these book fairs. It takes months and months of sorting of books. They get thousands of donations every single week. They have to go through all those donations, the raw donations, pick out the ones that are just not suitable for here for the book fair. And you know, it's a mammoth job just setting it up in here, and it's a mammoth job setting it down, and it's just a huge job overall. So shout out to all the Lifeline volunteers. They do a fantastic job. Most of the Australian cities do host Lifeline book fairs. There's a couple that don't, and a lot of them, the states do have Lifeline bookshops as well. Some of them even have Lifeline stores, which do everything: clothing, shoes, books, just like a general charity shop. Here in Canberra, we do have a Lifeline bookstore as well, which is open 4 days a week, and then the rest of the time you've got to wait for these big book fairs every 3 months. But you can see why me as a bookseller, even though I've got a lot of books at the warehouse, you can see why it would be detrimental to my business if I didn't come out here, especially on the Friday when they've got so many quality books. It would be detrimental to my business not to come out here and pick and buy books, because I'm not just picking the bread and butter here on the Friday, I'm picking those high quality books that I can sell, you know, $50 onwards, $40, $50, buying them for $3, $4, $5 and selling them for $50, $60, $70 plus. Thanks guys for watching. Sorry you didn't get to see me pick, but I hope this has been like the next best thing where you get to have a full view and a full tour of what it looks like in the book fair.